I'm Lexy Davis, a love embodiment coach who helps people create a love that feels like home, and I'm here to bring more romance and playfulness into the world. I'm also an international retreat host, vibe curator, and human connector. I serve people through my business, Alive to Enjoy, and this podcast where I invite guests from around the world to sprinkle their wisdom and expand your perspective so you can create the deepest love you possibly can reach in this lifetime. I also want you to live the most joyous life, whatever that looks like to you, and I hope that this slice of the internet brings you lots of smiles and helps you keep your heart open. Thank you for choosing Heart Snuggles to be in your ears each week, and I'm so glad you're here with me. Welcome, Heart Snugglers! I'm so excited for this beautiful episode today. Acupuncture is one of my favorite practices in the world, and I brought this amazing, incredible woman who I met, I don't even know how many years ago now. Two or something?
At least 2 years ago, for sure.
Yeah, at this holisticism retreat thing. And now I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. So go ahead and tell them a little bit about you.
Hola, mis amores. My name is Jessica DeLeon. I'm a licensed acupuncturist here in Los Angeles. I currently specialize in esoteric acupuncture, which means I combine the chakra system, sacred geometry, subconscious, and consciousness into our treatments and sort of tap into your healing, connecting you to heart center and allowing you to live a higher vibrational life and supporting you with spiritual awakening. In addition to that, currently pursuing my doctorate in reproductive health so that I can help support people in that arena as well. And I think that's all of it. My practice is called I Am Loose Wellness, and we offer private practice, workshops, and sound baths with esoteric acupuncture, cacao ceremonies. If you'd like to host a workshop, let me know later on. And then I also try to do a community clinic as often as possible. It used to be monthly, but now it's, life, which is you can sign up and we offer our services at a donation rate only. We then pick a different organization each time, and we donate 50% of the proceeds to a different organization. So everybody wins in that fashion. The goal is to make this medicine as accessible to whoever needs it as possible. Yeah, ta-da!
So the first question of the podcast is, what was the last random act of kindness someone did for you?
Wow. Oh, that's really I gotta give this one a quick think, because it was definitely recent. I'm trying to remember. It was definitely recent, and it had something to do with my daughter and I. We were doing something, and I was like, oh my God, man.
It's a good one. It makes you think.
This is a really good one. Girlfriend. Oh man. Well, I know there's one that I'm trying to think of that I can't quite remember. There was a really nice thing that did happen today, though. My husband went to go get a new phone, and that stuff takes some time. So I took my daughter out of the store, and we were just kind of like walking around, and there was a restaurant, a newer restaurant there. And my daughter was like outside of their like window, like kind of peeping in and stuff to see what was going on. And she came out, opened the door, gave her like the menu to like just like play with and look at, and then pulled out these beautiful she was like, I have a gift for you. And she like pulls out this thing that they're shaped like butterflies that you plant in the soil that sprouts flowers that attract butterflies. So she was like, go ahead and take as many as you like and go ahead and plant them so you can have butterflies at home. And I was like, oh, that was so lovely. It was so sweet. And I was like, we were just stumbling around it. It was so generous and loving. It was really nice. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, that one was really cute. Can I share an act of kindness that I saw recently that I was like, wow, I made that karma just continue flowing. My family were having recently, this was about 2 weeks ago, we're having pizza out on Ventura in Sherman Oaks. And the person like checking the parking meters comes around And there's a car parked in front of us and asks us, and there's like another person there and asks us, oh, is this your car? And both of us were like, oh, no, that's not ours. And he's like, okay. And he starts like doing his thing. And the guy's like, wait, are you going to ticket that car? And he was like, oh, yeah, it's over. And he was like, oh, let me pay for there. And he just like adds money to their meter to help prevent whomever from getting a ticket. And I was like, that's so nice.
Like really, $1 saving someone else's. That's so cute.
Dude, what could have probably, like, if you've ever gotten a parking ticket in Los Angeles, they're so common and they're so like, oh gosh. So it was, and they can be hefty, like prices, you know. So that was just a nice one that I saw that. I was like, man, may that person just receive all the blessings and abundance that they so seek.
That's such a good one. Thanks for sharing both of those. Those are
yeah, that's such a lovely question. Oh, kindness is so lovely.
I know, it's the best. Now it's kind of sinking to the other end, but to normalize things. What is a more shameful memory from when you're younger or any age that you have around relationships, love, or sex?
You know, what comes to mind would be like secrets. Watching, like, I'm a child of divorce. My parents divorced when I was 8. And that's like, even at the time, when they told me, I was like, oh, this sucks, but thrilled. Like at 8 years old, I was like, solid, great. Like, let there be peace in the home. But prior to that, it was just like getting both takes and like, but don't tell them I said this, but don't tell them I said that. And then like even being older, like after the divorce and growing up and still hearing both perspectives on what happened, like, but don't say anything, but don't say anything, but don't say anything. And it was like such an eye opener on how we keep things bottled in with whomever we choose to be with. And for whatever reason, we don't choose to communicate because it may be interpreted the wrong way, or it may be hurtful, or I don't want them to know this about me, or that, you know, I don't want to hurt them, and in the end, like, those secrets that were originally intended to protect themselves ended up hurting their union much more. And it was one thing that I watched growing up that I was like, it was like learning the craft of lying as well. Like, to keep a secret, right? Like, deceit comes with it. And like that just.
And you see parents all the time teaching their kids, like little kids going on, like, you know, and it's like such a young age.
Yeah, and deceit can be so icky. Yeah. Deceit is so often so icky. I'm sure there's cases when it's not, you know, I'm sure, like, for joyous and comedic purposes, but yeah, to teach it at such a young age and to see it particularly with a union was like, you know, then that kind of stamped it for me, like, oh, that's normal. That's what it's supposed to be. So you don't need to be, like, sure, you hear communication, yeah, but like only to a certain extent, right? Like, only to hear, because you can't fully be vulnerable and open and honest with your partner. That would be mayhem. Because then where's the strength, quote unquote, left for you if you don't have some form of control, right? Like, if that's an interesting one. That's a great question. I appreciate that question. I hadn't thought about that.
That was beautiful. You brought that in, because no one's ever said that. And I think that's such a good one. And it's so subtle. I mean, and especially, I mean, my parents were divorced too. And they were, they definitely had a little bit of that. And it's like, I'm not talking to her. Like, I had to be the middleman to talk. And it's just like all these little things that it makes an impact. And and then you have to carry the shame knowing that you have the secret and not being able to share it with them. And so it's a lot of things that are happening in that situation.
Yeah. And taking it with you to, like, saying that as like a child and in adolescence, and then like, okay, cool, I'm ready to start forming my own relationships. And not only do I not know anything about anything, but what I am bringing in with me is that deceit, secrets, normal. Like that's how we're going to start this relationship off. Like you're going to have yours and I'm going to get upset about them, and I'm going to have mine, but you can't get upset about them, and like, even to have a secret, like there is some shame in that, right? Like that's, of course there's circumstances when there isn't, but most often it's so common that we'll see secrets be surrounded with some kind of shame. Like, I don't want them to know that about my past, or about this, or how this actually makes me feel, or that hurt me, or yeah, we usually don't keep secrets because we're excited and joyous and in love and thrilled and excited, right? So we're like, I can't tell them how happy I am. Like, I can't let them know how miserable this is. Don't let anyone know we got into another fight. Don't let anyone know, like, compose yourself because no one's supposed to know that, like, don't air the laundry kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's so moving forward for me. That's been a big one on, like, now with my partner, but we've been together for 10 years and married now for 5 years. And that's been one that, like, no matter how hard the conversation is, like, I am here to be 1000% open. And sometimes, and that's hard.
Oh yeah.
That's hard. There's been so many times and I'm like, it's just easier if I don't tell you. It's easier because, like, I'm picking for us to not fight or argue about this. But then you're choosing yourself and not the union. Right? And that's, like, one thing that makes being in a relationship so challenging. You're like, put this union first. Because if we're going to succeed, like, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. And it's going to be even more stressful 3 years down the line. Like, well, why didn't you say anything? Like, well, I've been upset about this and you've been doing it like this for so long. Like, why didn't you say anything? Like, because I didn't want you to be mad. Well, look at us now, So, yeah, secrets, deceit. Man, open communication is, it's not easy.
It's very
fair
at times. Yeah, it's the number one, like, it's the most important quality of a relationship. Like, communication it's the most essential thing. So you got to learn how to do it if you want a successful, peaceful, harmonious relationship.
And like, to be able to do it and to be able to hold space for your partner when they do as well.
That's another thing.
Because, like,
yes.
Yeah, like, hold space for me when I'm being open, but, like, when it's my turn, I might shatter. Like, it's both, and both are tough because sometimes you hear things, you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. I can see how that would have been. Or, just like, yeah, okay, different perspective on a thing that I felt very differently about. Got it. Ooh.
So spot on. So spot on. all so challenging. And this is, like, that's why I do the work I do, is, like, holding these different sensations that come up in our bodies, because it is so uncomfortable and it's so easy to want to, like, just immediately numb out, disassociate, or to run out of the room.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That triggers.
To be able to find your vice and go to it and, like, well, no, I'm not going to process, feel, or move through this at all. We're just going to check out real fast. And then I'll be happy again at some point.
So real. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing all of this, and that awareness is so
Yeah. I hope that
bringing right now is amazing.
Yes. I hope that helped bring. I hope that was a good answer. Whatever that means too.
Yes, that was so helpful. I mean, not a single person that's not experienced that. So I don't who hasn't experienced, like, a secret or any of these hard conversations, Thanks for bringing that in. And now I'd love to learn, like, your journey of how you got to esoteric, and you also do the traditional medicine with it.
Yeah, so I'm licensed and I practice traditional Chinese medicine. And that's what my master's degree is in. So I studied for 5 years at Yosan University here in Los Angeles. And throughout the program, there's like little just like pearls here and there about esoteric acupuncture or how to treat the spirit, how to like the dreams, the subconscious, past life stuff, and how and a lot of my, this is like such a subset of this medicine where like a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
But enter me where I'm like, wait, what was that? What was that? And I like would write and I would ask more questions. And they're like, oh, if you're interested, then you need to study with Dr. Mikio Senki, who created and like put together, like figured out esoteric acupuncture. So to keep our license active, we have to do 50 CEU courses every 2 years, which is continuing education units, so that we're just constantly, we have to like upkeep, right? And so I graduated, got licensed, and immediately signed up for a course with him later that same year in 2017 and took both the foundations and the advanced courses with him too. He is just such a magical being. Like he's such an alien. He's not from here. Like he's just not. He's not from here, and he doesn't live here either. Like this man has just been in the 5D, I think, all the time. And so to learn from him was like so incredible. But it was always something that anything esotericism itself has been such a point of interest for me growing up as a teenager. Always like I read what's called the Baraja Española, which are known as Spanish playing cards, and these are like the OG method of card reading. Like they date way back further than tarot, and like I grew up with those in my home and was like so fascinated by them. Was like always so fascinated by anything like psychic readings, astrology, cards, like divinations and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like I want more, I want more, I want more. So then finally to learn about esoteric acupuncture, it was such a beautiful intersection of all the things I'm passionate about. And now I get to put my own spin on it where like people, when they come in for an esoteric session, like we're going to talk about your astrology, we're going to talk about your birth chart, like your human design chart. If you've like worked with other like astrologers or psychics or mediums in the past, like any kind of Reiki, like we're bringing it all into this session, and we tap into a spiritual awakening that is so different from anything else because we are applying sacred geometry and activating them onto your grid or onto your body so that you can now have access to this higher frequency, this higher vibration. And for some people, that may be just like unblocking the third eye or connecting heart chakra and root chakra, or maybe even opening up all of them. We have these energetic wheels on us. And so many of us are like not in connection with them because of the white noise of this world, whether it be sugar, media, politics, the news in general, right? Like poor diet, radiation, just like medication, chemical substances, like all of those things, right? All the noise, all the pollution that we surround ourselves with and ingest. And so it becomes so easy to disconnect from that. So with esoteric acupuncture, we really kind of reawaken and like get that radio frequency back to just the right channel. And like people will walk out of there like boom, fully connected, like receiving downloads. I've had people walk out of those sessions like I spoke to my younger self, I spoke to past loved ones, I saw my career path laid out, the book that I'm writing, like everything unlocked. I received a message that I've been like waiting to receive. Like it's just all these things, and like on my end, I have no idea what's going to happen in there, nor can I like summon a specific thing. It's really specific to where you are on your spiritual awakening, whether that's like, I've been meditating with monks for 30 years, or like, hey, I have no idea what any of this is. Today is day one for me, but I'm ready, you know? So I do the esoteric and I also do the traditional, which is focusing much more on like mind, emotional, spirit in the sense of like your consciousness, right? Not necessarily focusing on subconscious, which is what esoteric does, and focusing like on your physical form. So with traditional acupuncture, it's fantastic for like anything like pain, fertility, insomnia, anxiety, digestive disorders. Oh my God, I'm blanking right now. Yeah, just you name it, like headaches, anything, like peripheral neuropathy, bloating, anything gynecological, urinary, like UTI and stuff like that, and even erectile dysfunction, like hormone imbalances, arthritis, like we do all of that. Yeah. So it's very like different when someone comes in, they're like, oh, I'm here for traditional acupuncture. I'm like, oh, okay, boom, we're wearing this hat. Someone's like, I'm here for esoteric acupuncture. I'm like, let's get magical. Glitter.
I love it.
Well, now once I earn my doctorate, then it's gonna be like, cool, let's get knocked up.
Yeah.
Abundance.
And I love it. My favorite. Like when I tell people, a lot of people, I'm so shocked that still a lot of people aren't really that aware of what acupuncture does. And I tell them, I go for literally everything, and they're like, "What? You can go for emotional? You can go for allergies? You can go for?" I'm like, "Yes, anything, go. Just
yes."
Yeah.
That is such a great point. Like, it's fascinating to see how many people still are not aware of it, considering that this medicine has been around for over 2,000 years, and it's been like, it has stood the test of time. It has worked. It still works. It will continue to still work. And people will often ask me like, well, what are the needles like dipped in? What's the medicine that they have on? I'm like, there's nothing. And they're like, yeah, but do you dip it in something? Like, what's on them? And I'm like, these are sterile. There isn't nothing on them, unless there are some needles that are like coated in silicone, but that's for like insertion purposes, so that it's not as painful. But no, we're not like dipping the needle into like melatonin or something to like get you to relax. Like, no, that is so not happening. It's just it's really just, if we think of your body as like a master keyboard, right? And you see like, oh, that button's out, we're just like, and allowing your body to like facilitating its own self-healing. It is so effective. It is so powerful. And, nowadays it's like, oh, this new medication's out, and then 2 years later, like, whoa, turns out that medication doesn't, it's causing all these issues, or like, we learn about these things with time, right? Like, that's just like, we need time to realize the side effects to these medications. Meanwhile, this medicine has been around, I say to you again, over 2,000 years, and it is still working. We've figured it out. We can help. I promise. Yeah. I promise. If you haven't tried acupuncture, I cannot encourage you enough. Even if you're like, well, I don't know what I would go for. I feel great. Go as a preventative to stay feeling great. But like any kind of pesky thing that you're feeling in your body, bloating, I wake up throughout the night, or like, oh yeah, I always crash. My energy dips around 2 p.m. Or yeah, I've got brain fog usually from like 10 to noon, or like my memory's not as great anymore. Like, there's this funny thing that happens. People think just because we're aging, it all has to go downhill, and it so doesn't. Did you know you could age without all these symptoms? Mm-hmm. We could help. I promise. Like, I'll see my friends who are the same age as me, and they're like, oh yeah, man, once you hit 30, it's like everything. And I'm like, oh, excuse me. Like, I'm going to comfortably make it. I don't know. Yeah. Let's manifest something. I'm going to make it comfortably to 80 before I get back pain. I don't know.
I agree. When people start using that language, like, oh, I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're saying it. Your cells are hearing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your body's hearing it. Your body's saying, all right, that's the new program. That's the plan. Where you got it. Back pain coming right up. Yeah.
Words are spells and very powerful. So
Yes.
yeah.
Right? Exactly. Spells are exactly in the same way that we believe and think and practice affirmations. We're doing it the same exact thing with the way we talk to and about our body.
And I'd love for you touched on this very briefly, but for people that are unaware of this, is like you said, sugar, TV, like these things, how does that affect our bodies and the way that the body communicates with itself?
So everything has its vibration, right? And if we think the chakra system, and we're talking about just the first 7 from root to crown, and we think, right, like root, sacral, solar plexus, earthly chakras, throat, third eye, crown, heavenly chakras, and heavenly just being anything above earth, whether it's cosmos or whatever you want, just above earth. Heart chakra being the beautiful bridge that merges these two realms together. When we live our life where everything is so fixated on the here and now, such as what's going on in this society, like our food being doused in chemicals, all the politics, the arguments, all the high frequencies, like Wi-Fi is everywhere, surrounding ourselves with all these devices. Like when we think of a Wi-Fi router, right, we understand that it emits this energy because it can reach this certain parameter. And when you're within that parameter, you have access to said Wi-Fi and you can connect to that frequency and, so on and so forth. We are the exact same thing. We too have an energetic field. And when we start surrounding and exposing ourselves to sugar, toxic foods, toxic metals, chemicals, things that are of very low vibration, things that are really only of this earthly realm, politics is one of the biggest one. And I'm not saying like don't get involved. I'm saying all things in moderation, right? It's very easy to live a life where like you're glued to the latest update, where you're eating whatever's most convenient, whatever's fastest and most affordable, where you're sleeping as little as possible, where you're singing, moving, chanting as little as possible, where it's just this, like you're just covering yourself in low frequency and low vibrational things and exposing yourself to that the connection becomes lost, right? So we stay in this very fixated, very narrow viewed perspective of only this matters. This is the most important thing. There is nothing else. And this food is fine. It's the only one. This is the only way for me to live, right? We've exposed ourselves so much to these low vibrational things that it's now created our worldview to be so small. And it's when we start eliminating those things that we're like, okay, well, yeah, I do need to get more sunshine. I do need to move my body. I do need more connection. Now we start activating higher frequency chakras because we're realizing it's not just here. It's not just in this 3D plane where we're functioning. And we start connecting to and understanding a higher source, whether it's planetary energy, constellations, the divine, the Tao, whatever it may be. We start understanding and seeing, oh, there's a whole forest here, right? And so when it comes to esoteric acupuncture, one thing that the homework that I give everybody after their sessions is, because people are like, I feel incredible right now. Like, how do I keep this going? The number one thing I tell people is, and this is from my teacher, Dr. Mikio Senki, you want to avoid for as long as possible, pause, PAWS. No politics, no arguments, no white sugar. Avoiding that, those alone can help keep that connection open for much longer.
Uncoupling or breakups do not need to be horrific and ugly, but they can be the most beautiful unwinding of a union. And you get to decide if you're going to let this heartbreak hold you back from love or open you wider to an even greater love and ability to choose yourself. And if you desire to shift this archaic way of ending relationships and instead be a leader in love, then I invite you to join my Holding Heartache Masterclass so you can remain in love, trust, and integrity with your heart. And this will be a powerful way to close out that chapter with your past lover, to somatically feel through the tough emotions and create a solid foundation of support to hold you through the process of grief and letting go. You'll get a clear, reliable, and comforting kit of resources and tools so that you never feel alone or stuck during this process. And I created this masterclass so you'll feel empowered to make it through the painful process and come out the other end anchored in truth and more rooted in love. I want to remind you that your heart isn't broken, you're being opened wider, and thus you're being able to feel more alive. So if you'd like to access the Holding Your Heartache Masterclass with me, Lexy Davis, head to the show notes and sign up.
So beautiful.
I hope that answers.
Yes, it's so cool because there's just, I mean, my dad is such a beautiful example. I love him. And he's just complaining now that he's had both his knees replaced twice, his hips replaced, and now he had some like weird nerve thing where they like infused his nerves and it only lasted 2 years, and now his back hurts again. All these things, and we got to eat, and I like watch his food choices, and I'm like, Dad, you're not like, why do you keep making those choices? And yeah, it's like we love to suffer, and there's so many other opportunities. And I think most people don't even know what it feels like. Like oftentimes when even I work with someone, they're like, oh yeah, I feel good, like blah, blah. But then they don't even know what the next level of good feels like because I haven't experienced it. And yeah, because of all these other stimulations that are happening that are very low vibration and bringing our energies down and clothing us off to truth. And yeah.
Oh my God, you nailed it. It is so tough for us to make these better choices. And it's challenging for so many reasons, right? Like diet is such a tough one because our diet is ingrained from childhood. And for some of us, even from utero, right? Like we were already exposed to those foods in the womb.
Definitely. Yeah.
And what were the foods that were being consumed at that point? Some people live off of fast food. Some people are like plant-based only or like all organic and, like very dense. And a lot of people operate in the center, but like we've to change our diet. I think the most recent number that I saw was somewhere was like 70 times more difficult to change your diet than it is to quit smoking. And to change your diet for like, oh, I'm doing a detox. Oh, for the month of, I'm giving up, whatever, like that's one thing. But to fully change your diet and this be your new life is so challenging because we've learned these are our comfort foods. This is how I cope. This is what's easy and convenient for me to cook and make. These are the flavors that I like. And this is how I shop. These are the grocery stores that I go to. Like, to change all of that it is so challenging. And especially like using your father as an example, somebody who's older and has been doing this for 50 plus years, like that's it's even more difficult then to do it. Like, and a lot of the thinking then is like, honey, I've made it this far.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, yes, but
want to be thriving or not?
Yes.
So as someone I'm curious, as someone who has this like, amazing tool and skill and craft, and very well how it affects people, how do you navigate that when you see people that you love like suffering or not making the right choices and you're like, hello, I have the
Yeah. So I can only speak from my personal experience with this one. My family is very different from what you described with your father. Like my family is very open to that kind of change. And especially once I started working in this walking down this path of like holistic living and clean living. So yeah, my family will actually always ask for advice and tips, and I do an annual detox with my patients, and my family does it with us every single year. But what I have experienced most would be like the younger members of my family being more like, I was just having this conversation with my cousin yesterday, and we're talking about like chemicals and pesticides and additives and sugars in our food. And then he's like going off with like, oh, but it's just so easy. Like I put $1 into the vending machine and out comes a bag of chips. And he's like, it's just too easy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And a part of it is, I know now there's no amount of like lectures or evidence I can give him that will get him to change his mind. It really is just living by example. And I mean, that's in a way, that's kind of what happened with my family that does do this detox with me every year. But with other family members too, I've had some reach out and like, hey, like I've been experiencing this. What do you think it could be? I'm like, oh, it's, and they didn't reach out to me before, and now they're asking me for stuff. So a lot of it is living by example. And yeah, but it is tough because you love them so much. And like, as much as I would want to like shake my cousin, I'm like, stop. Like, this is what they want. You're feeding the beast. You're eating the stuff, and now you're going to get, sicker more often. And then you're going to be on medications, and you are a lifelong customer. Stop feeding the beast, But ultimately, he's got to have to figure it out on his own. And all I can do is just be here and hold it down and continue showing him that it can be done.
Yeah.
Or what even a life looks like without that stuff. Like I think my brother came over once and was like going through my pantry, and he was like, I bought like some Takis from Trader Joe's, and he like pulls them out. He's like, I didn't think you ate this stuff. And I was like, I mean, every now and then I'll buy them, but it's like, if I am going to eat them, I'm going to eat like a cleaner, whatever that means, version than like the one covered with MSG and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I do love Takis, but and it was just interesting to see like, oh, I didn't think you ate this stuff, like to be surprised by it and like that understanding, right? And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I wish I had better advice for it, but I just live by example. Hope that helps.
Really, yeah, that's all anyone can do is live by example. So I think that's a thing, and that also made me think. So, have you started your daughter on acupuncture, and what age do you start children on?
Oh, so in my practice, I don't specialize in pediatric cases. So the youngest that I'll take would be 6, and that's like that's only if it's one of my current patients' kids, who like I already know them and they've like briefed me on the case. But I'll always refer those cases out. I have given my daughter acupuncture twice already. The first time that I gave her acupuncture, she was about 12 hours old. And the reason was because there's a point on the body, there's many, but I wanted to stimulate a point that helps really just like life story, like chi, immune system, longevity, vitality, digestion. Yeah. And it's really like the point. If you're going to like tonify or strengthen using any point on the body, like this is the one. It's written in the ancient texts that if you were to perform moxibustion on this acupuncture point, and for those wondering, if you're an acupuncturist, I did stomach 36. It says in the ancient text, if you were to do moxibustion on stomach 36 every day, it would add days to your life. And so I didn't do it with that thinking in mind, but I just did it with the intention of like, just like building healthy chi and blood in her system. And then the only other time that I've done it was she was fighting a cold and she had a wild fever for like 2 days. So I did to help reduce the fever and help support her immune system. But when they're that young, they're not getting a treatment like an adult does, where you like put the needles in and you let them rest for 20 minutes. Like there's no way. There's no way. It's like a quick in out. They're also so abundant in chi and blood that you don't need to do that, right? Like you really just need to like, in a sense, what we're doing with the acupuncture point is like, hey, don't forget. And the body's like, oh, that's it. Okay, cool. So it's just a quick stimulation, like in, out, in, out. But yeah, doing acupuncture on her though regularly will definitely be a thing for her. Like I remember growing up battling with like acne or like being, like stomach problems or having cramps, and like that's something that we're going to address with my daughter. Like the moment she has any kind of like something happen, like nope, on the table. We are strengthening, we are tonifying, we are clearing this out. Don't you worry, mama. We can get you feeling 100.
So yeah, that's what it's such cool to have.
Mm-hmm. Well, like my husband, he used to ask me for acupuncture all the time. But now that my practice has gotten busier and bigger, he will rarely ask me. And every now and then he'll like, oh God, my back has been killing me. And I'm like, oh my God, like, let's give you a treatment. He's like, yeah. Like if you have time, like I'm always happy to give anybody a treatment. Just ask me. But he's like, it's so busy. The last thing I want to do is make you work when you come home. I'm like, oh my God, stop, please. Like if you're listening and you're in my inner circle, please ask me for acupuncture anytime, always. That's what I'm here. That's what I do.
It's so true. It's like such a gift. That's how I feel about my work too. It's,
oh my God, yes.
yeah, you want to give it to them.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done like a retreat or circle or ceremony with like any of your family?
I've only done yoga, but I've never done somatic work. No, that scares me still. I don't, they're not even interested, but yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was many of my close friends and people, but not family, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be, I can imagine that being a wild ride.
Yeah, it's like, let's talk about your trauma. Yeah. And feel everything you didn't feel.
Yeah, everyone ready? We're going to unpack it all right now.
Beautiful though. And that's great that you can, that you, although she's still little, it's like, oh, you can support her with this and just a few years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm excited to, I mean, hopefully she won't. Hopefully she'll never need it. Right. But yeah, it's inevitable.
Well, I mean, how you're raising her is so beautiful. So it'll be a lot less than normal, which is so. Yeah. It sounds like your family has been conscious or open and holistic in some way, but it was so beautiful to know that you get to bring her into this world in such a holistic and healing way.
Oh my God, we had her birth chart read when she was 2 months, and she was 2 months old. And people are like, why? Like, why? She's so young. Like, you can't even see any of those traits and qualities, to like confirm. I'm like, we didn't get it to do that. We got it so that I could understand and know how to best nurture and support her. Some people, like in ancient Mayan times, whenever a child was born, they would read the chart for the parents to see what elements came up in that child's chart, so that the parents could understand, like, oh, okay, your child is very prone to like playing in the dirt. So when they're playing in dirt and getting muddy, don't reprimand them for that. That's their medicine, right? Or like, oh no, your kid needs water, so you got to take this kid out you got to take them out to the lake, to the ocean, and to the river as often as possible, right? Like things like that, like. And in the Mayan birth chart readings, it obviously just does go a lot deeper, but that was one big thing that they would go over with parents, is the elements that came up, so that you can nurture your child with that, or like, mountains and, all the elements. So essentially that's one thing that was so important for me with my daughter, was to like, all right, like what elements are coming up for this kid? Like, oh, cool. She's Cancer moon and a Pisces rising. Great. My girl feels. Cool. Good to know.
Yes, it's like we have all these ways to actually understand our kid because lack of communication for quite some time. So
yes.
yeah,
And then just helping her like navigate these emotions, right? Like when emotions start coming in, and helping her understand, like, yeah, this, I can understand how this hurt you, and like, yes, I understand that that's frustrating, and without shaming her, I'm like, God, you're being so sensitive. Stop being so emotional. Stop being such a crybaby. Like, some people feel more. Some people feel none. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so cute to like speaking to parents that yeah, it's so inspiring, and it's one of the main reasons I do this work is so that kids can grow up in an environment like that and have that and
Yes, let's feel our feels.
the feels, and now you're gonna have people with babies and
Yes. Hopefully, we count down. It's a 2-year program, so it'll be 2026. It'll be Doctora Acubruja.
And that's another question about your practice. So, why would you tell someone it's important to try the esoteric? Like, why do they want a clear channel? Why do they want to be connected?
Oh, great question. I don't think that esoteric is for everybody. It is for the seekers and someone who is not fear-based. Sometimes when we're like processing trauma or situations or planning, or there's a lot of fear there, and that person just isn't ready just yet. It's once we've gotten over that and that we are capable of coming in with an open heart and an open mind, that I think acupuncture or esoteric would be fantastic for you. On a more like bullet point, I guess, answer, I would suggest it for any time there's like a big pivot transition in your life, such as you're figuring out your next career move. You're not sure if you should take this promotion. Should you move to this place? Should you start writing this book? You're processing this recent loss. Going, like, if you're actively in therapy, people will know when they're in there, depending on what you're processing. After talking to your therapist, you'll find like, all right, cool, I'm ready to start adding in some more tools. Esoteric would be great for you then. Inner child healing, past life work. So it's almost, in a way, I describe it to people like ayahuasca is, in the sense where ayahuasca calls to you, right? And she doesn't call to everybody, but she lets you know when it's time, when you're up, basically, right? And in a way, that's how esoteric acupuncture can work as well, because I so often see people in that place of like, what next? What do I do? Like, I need a little bit of clarity or some guidance, or gosh, I feel disconnected from my own body. And so those are the like times that I would suggest esoteric acupuncture. Yeah.
Amazing. I need to try it.
Yes. Next time we're in LA, whenever you blow through.
Right, we'll be there for one day, so I'll see if I can make it happen.
Oh my God, girl, I can't. If you're here for one day, I imagine that day is going to be like jam-packed. Like, I've got a 5 a.m. hike from 5 to 6, then I've got yoga from 6 to 7.
No, I'm actually gotten a lot better about that. I used to be crazy with my schedules, and now I'm like, let's do the least. And yeah, like, but like something like that would be something I'd really want to prioritize. So I'll let you know if I can make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yay. And to wrap it up, the last question of the podcast is, what is one of your favorite, most romantic memories, dates, experiences?
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't consider it it's not a date, but I would say one of the just like my favorite things that just makes my heart so happy is when we do a family nap. Like family nap time, like when it's, oh my God. Yeah, family nap for me is like when I can just watch, or like even sometimes at night, my daughter will wake up in the night and she'll come into our bed. And there is just such a peace and ease and joy and love just watching the two people that I love most in this world sleep peacefully by my side. And like oh my God, I'm gonna tear. And like in that moment, nothing else matters. And those are the times that my heart is truly the happiest. I hope that counts.
Yeah, that's so cute. I was about to say, that's so heart snuggly. It's so perfect. It's like just so precious. You know, we often think like, yes, of course, romance could be like this huge, like, like, you know, orchestrated event, and yet also it's like, no, it's a little cutie moment.
It's cuddly, it's snuggly, it's cozy. And I think one of the most beautiful things about like a romantic act is when it has that layer of intimacy, right? Like grandiose is fantastic, sure, but it's also hollow if there's no like underlying intimacy there. And intimacy manifests in so many ways, right? And so for me, it manifests as family nap.
Amazing. So if someone wants to work with you, do you just offer in LA? And yeah, kind of just describe a little bit about your practice, what you're offering.
Sure, yeah. Currently, all of my services are only in person. That may be changing in the future, but we'll see. For now, only in person in Los Angeles. So yeah, people can follow us on social media, on IG or TikTok at I Am Loose Wellness, AYAMLUZ Wellness, or they can visit our website. You can schedule online, or you can give us a call, or you can email us. But our website is IamLooseWellness.com, and we will be waiting for you with open arms and open heart. Like if you work with me, girlfriend, you are going to get all the cariños, all the affection, all the pampering, all the coziness, all the love. Like you're just going to feel loved on. Like that's my goal. And that's like your goal too. I love it. That's what we both do. We just love on people in very different ways.
So much. I'm so excited. I hope you get abundance of aligned clients.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to fly in from another country to work with me, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm calling it in, but please don't. Come into LA. I will be here waiting for you as well. Thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You made it to the end of the episode, so now it's time for our snuggly heart breath of the day. Place a hand or both hands, if it's safe to do so, over your heart and take a big breath into your heart center. Open your mouth and let it go. I'm so grateful to have shared this time with you. If you enjoyed this combo, please share with your besties and your fam. And if you're a visual person like me, fly over to YouTube and watch the video. If you want to do a random act of kindness today, please leave a 5-star review so more people in the world can get their heart snuggled. You're helping tremendously when you do this, so thank you so much. And as a gift for doing so, I'll give you my Soften Your Heart Medi that feels like an exhale and a hug from within. When you leave a review and email me the screenshot to heartsnuggles@alivetoenjoy.com, you can also find the email in the show notes and you'll get the free meditation. Sending you the warmest, comfiest hug and lots of unexpected blessings your way. Remember that every single person just wants to be loved. So how can you be loved today?